the Madman! Welcome to the top custom Hearthstone cards of the week? We'll start with Unlucky Bystander. 2 mana, 2/3. Enemy random effects target this minion when possible. Design 5 stars, balance 4 stars. I think this is a decent pack filler card as is, but maybe you could spice it up by adding like homages to, say, Krip.
Disgustingly unlucky. He just got 100% answers, 100% RNG.
The balance is 4 because this would be a fine card to just print in a pack, and it's kind of cool. Actually, there's a little bit of a problem in that this is a common. I didn't dock a point off of design for it because I thought the design was quite good. However, I think this is a negative card effect. You could pitch it as a negative card effect, certainly. So maybe you could add premium stats to it in an interesting way, where maybe printing a vanilla 2 mana 2/4 is too much at the moment, but with this downside, you could push a 2 mana 2/4, and I think that's actually the right line for it. Because I was thinking, well, there's other vanilla stat lines you could push, like 4 mana 5/5, 3 mana 3/5, you know, things like that. But Unlucky Bystanders, they're pretty weak. I think 2 mana 2/4 is a pretty good spot for it, to be honest. And bump it to Epic, probably, because the effect is really quite niche. Rogue Mimicro, 4 mana 3/2. Whenever a Battlecry minion is played, this minion remembers it. Death Rattle, repeat them all, targets chosen randomly. Design 4 stars, balance 2 stars. I think there's enough here to not just call it another Spirit of the Shark or another Educated Alec, but it only operates after you spend the initial mana to play it, and that's where it looks like a significantly worse Spirit of the Shark, because Spirit of the Shark gets the added benefit of being stealth for a turn, and then immediately does the battle cries. Spirit of the Shark wasn't imbalanced, so perhaps you could, if you really wanted to push it, 3 mana 4/3. If you wanted to not push it as hard, 3 mana 3/3 maybe? 3 mana 4/2. It's an interesting card. Note that this also remembers your opponent's battle cry, so if it does somehow survive, maybe your opponent can sabotage you. Griffin Captain Cordron. 3 mana 2/2 warrior legendary. Battle cry, choose a friendly minion. Your copies of it have +2/+1 and rush this game. Design 1 star, balance 1 star. The intent is that you choose a minion that you have in play, and then when you summon copies of it in the future, it has +2/+1 and rush. Not even the copy itself right now. Not only does this seem like a very out of character card for warrior, like maybe Rogue has played with copies of stuff in the past, and Warrior hasn't. There's so few things that this would be even applicable for. Way too narrow. Interestingly enough, this might actually be OP with Recurring Villain, of all things. Sometimes you can print cards that are far too niche. Slumbering Ancient. It's a Druid 4 mana 5/5 with Dormant, choose 1 secretly. Awaken in 1 turn with Rush, or awaken in 2 with +2/+2 and Taunt. Design 2 stars, balance 4 stars. But let me address the big design flaw in this one right away. I think that unless you have a very good reason on why you should break the Dormant being 2 turns, you shouldn't do it. Because you solidify keywords by having them all be consistent. Yes, sometimes you can break them, absolutely. But here it is too much for too little benefit. So my suggestion, you wanted to push the card, and you wanted to do the classic meme. 4 mana 7/7. Dormant, choose 1, awaken with Rush, or awaken with +2/+2 and Taunt. That does push it a little bit. Might be too strong, in which case, like, maybe you just go 4 mana 6/6. But, sometimes you gotta throw classes that are a little bit weak a bone. And 4 mana 7/7 is a good meme. I'm not even sure it would be that strong at 4 mana 7/7. With Dormant, obviously. Fell Portal, 10 mana Warlock legendary. Draw all demons from your deck. They cost 0. Destroy your deck! I had to wrestle with myself a lot on this one. Is it okay to print a spell that is absolutely devastating like this, where you either just win or lose very, very shortly after casting this spell. And my conclusion is, design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. Obviously, you would build your entire deck around it. Warlock does have a theme of being able to sacrifice a lot of stuff for one singular purpose. You know, whenever they put their minds to it, they can destroy the world and summon all the demons if they really wanted to. So why not destroy your deck in order to get a bunch of demons, which cost 0? So there are 2 things that are potentially problematic with this. One is Blood Bloom, which, by the way, if you didn't know, got nerfed from 2 mana to 4 mana. Blood Bloom was limiting design space of potentially cards like this, but potentially Blood Bloom into Fel Portal is still too strong. The only note that I'll give is that I did look to make sure that this wouldn't break anything, because remember, you don't even have to play the demons immediately. They can sit in your hand, maybe for some combo purposes. And currently in Standard, there's, I believe, and you know, it's hard to cover everything, especially when you're just doing a quick glance through, but I believe there's no imbalanced combos that can come with the Fel Portal. There's maybe interesting stuff you could do with Sathravar. However, seems like you're in the clear. So yeah, you just need to have the intent to, at some point, get a big demon in there, the big payout for Fel Portal. Because currently this card is useless. But that doesn't mean a card like this can't exist if you plan to build a card that'll synergize with this later. Sarah Soul Stealer, dual class card, Warlock and Demon Hunter. 4 mana 5/2, Death Rattle, destroy a soul fragment in your deck to resummon this. Design 5 stars, balance 4 stars. This was actually a very hard rating to give because I had memories of Wax Rager being super OP. But my realization was that it's not like you will resummon Sarah Soul Stealer an infinite amount of times. You're gonna run out of soul fragments at some point. And I compared this with the Void Drinker, which is a 5 mana 7/8 if you just destroy 1 soul fragment. So in order to get this up to 8 health, you're going to need to have destroyed 3 soul fragments in your deck. And then, like, by then, you might be out. That would be like a 4 mana 5/2, 5/2, 5/2 on the way down. That does seem a little bit strong, but I'm saying, like, maybe make it a 4/2. Even then, you'd get a lot of reactions like, oh my god, it's Wax Rager, they printed Wax Rager in Standard, that's insane. And I think you would obviously need to test this card a lot, but given proper testing and the proper stat line, this could be a really cool payoff for having the Soul Fragment cards in your deck. So on this one, I'm uncertain of the balance, but I think at 4/2, like, maybe that's fine. The Mother Gloop. 9 mana, 9/6, Battlecry, swallow your opponent's deck. In 2 turns, give it back. It's card denial, it also does a little bit of damage. Stat line isn't great. Design 2 stars, balance 4 stars? Part of me didn't even want to give a balance rating on this because this is the definition of anti-fun. It's so anti-fun that something like this should never see the light of day. You know, in the proper situation where it's in the late game, where you play this and then you shadow step it or something, and then you just play it every 2 turns, and then you laugh at them. That is just way too feels bad to ever see the light of day. It doesn't even have the honor of killing you fast like Malagos would. That's actually part of the reason why this card might be balanced. Like the ETC deck, for example, it doesn't run any like individually bad cards, but I could picture that the Mother Group deck would run a lot of individually bad cards. Just in order to pull off this combo, which is very unfun, but might be okay in terms of balance. Aiden the Light Warden, Paladin 7 mana 4/7, Battlecry, change enemy minion's attack to 1, and draw a card for each attack lost. Design 5 stars, balance 2 stars. It's very in flavor for Paladins to have extremely strong debuffs and buffs. So why not a card that both debuffs and draws upon the Paladin strength of that card in order to give you cards based off of that? And it's kind of interesting because you have to think a lot about, do I want to reduce the opponent's attack from 3 to 1? That does get me 2 cards, but it's not a great benefit. I should wait for something with 6 attack, and then I can reduce it to 1 and draw 5 cards. But oh no, I can't reduce that 12/12, because then I would draw 11 cards. and my hand is too full. I would just burn out. So it's got an interesting wide array of effects based on the enemy minion's attack. My main problem with this card is the balance, which is too strong as is. I would suggest either maybe the 3/3 stat line to mirror the Elder Peacekeeper, and this just, tacks on a bunch of card draw to that. Perhaps you could even make the stat line 1/7 to kind of be a throwback to Yadric's 7 health, which I think is what was done here as is, but the 4 attack is too much. Because I think on average you're drawing maybe like 4 cards of this card, which means it's a sprint with upside, and the upside is you're both quasi-removing an opponent's minion and you're developing a minion of your own. Treaty, 5 mana, Warrior, Paladin, dual class card. On their next turn, both players can only target friendly characters. Design 4 stars, balance 5 stars. This is another time out type effect where your opponent basically can't damage you. That's not entirely true because they can still damage you with Cthulhu, for example. You just can't target either the minions or the face, and because it affects you as well, so it's symmetric, so you can't really abuse it by placing minions and then playing the treaty, unless your minions had really cool effects while they were on board, which would be a good use of treaty, but that doesn't necessarily 100% protect your minions as well from something like Cascading Disaster or Deadly Shot. My main problem with this is I think it's not in flavor for Warrior to have this treaty, and I also think it could be renamed. So I think Paladin only. It's got a lot of precedent for having these type of effects. Stop the fighting. But maybe you could do Paladin and Priest. Maybe you could rename this card to be Truce. I think that's a much better name. And time for the Trump card of the week. It's Cyclops Blacksmith, a warrior, 8 mana, 8/8. Taunt. If this minion didn't attack during your turn, gain armor equal to this minion's attack. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. You could make a whole keyword around this of if this minion didn't attack during your turn. It is comparable in power, just basically stronger, not strictly stronger, to the Paladin Ragnaros Lightlord card. And I think given how bigger cards have generally been stronger these days, and Ragnaros Lightlord may not have necessarily been a powerhouse card, I think this is actually fine. I will say the taunt is probably unnecessary on this card. Maybe that pushes it over the top. A little bit too defensive then. You make aggro cry a little too much. But realistically, your opponent will need to kill anyways. So I looked at the taunt and I was like, it might be more interesting without taunt, so your opponent actually has a real decision to make. Do they try to power past the Cyclops Blacksmith, which is gaining 8 each turn, possibly more, or do they kill the Cyclops Blacksmith? So I think this is one of those cards that's actually more interesting if you don't put the taunt keyword on it, because then your opponent can maybe make a mistake, or they actually have agency of choice then. Well, yeah, I just think that this could totally be a keyword. It's cool to have cards that just generate value while on the field, if they don't do the attack. So Cyclops Blacksmith gets my Trump card of the week. Good flavor. It's a warrior, blacksmith. It's big. It's a Cyclops. It's sitting at home making you armor, or it's out there crushing people.